I know me making a baseball video seems a little overdue considering the lockout ended a few days ago. Yeah, I was gonna get on it, but then I had my booster shot on Friday, felt lethargic, but whatever, baseball's back, and my Yankees did make a very unexpected trade and something I had to really sit on before making this video, but I'm here to give you my thoughts on that. So in case you haven't heard what the trade is, it's Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela to the Minnesota Twins for Josh Donaldson, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and Ben Rortvedt. This definitely tells me that the Yankees are out on Carlos Correa. Oh well. Perhaps before I upload this video, Carlos Correa will be on another team. But for now, I just want to talk about perhaps by the time I upload this video, Carlos Correa will find a new team. We'll find out. But I want to talk about the trade that the Yankees made with the Twins. I'll mostly go in depth with that, and then I'll talk about the rules for the 2022 season and briefly about some other trades later on in this video. So what's going on, everyone? It's Nick and welcome to my channel if you're new here, or welcome back to my channel if you're not new. So I want to start off by talking about Gary Sanchez, and I sure will not miss him at all. I was seeing all over Instagram that he gave us hope when there wasn't much to be hopeful about, and that's definitely true about 2016, and he was a stud in 2017. But since then, what has he done for us to make us proud at all? When he first came up in 2016, I was so happy I kept my Robinson Cano jersey since it only has 24 on the back. But that thing's been staying in my closet for quite a while now. I had it out of the closet after game 2 of the 2018 ALDS for once. Okay, he hit 34 home runs in 2019, but he hit 232 with a 316 on base percentage. I know it was really July and September that brought his average down so much. Other than that, he was actually really good in the regular season. So for that, I did have the Yankees 24 jersey on plenty of times during the 2019 season, but he just couldn't put it together for a full season, and he also stunk in the playoffs. Even in 2017, his playoff numbers were not good at all. And then these last 2 seasons, yeah, there was really just nothing to like about him at all besides he'll hit a home run here and there. How about his defense? We all know that's never been something he's been any good at. He led the league in pass balls twice. Yes, that's how many times Jorge Posada led the league in pass balls, but Jorge Posada also cared so much more. You could see it that Jorge Posada hated losing and had so much more heart than Gary Sanchez ever had. At least the pass balls have gone down since Gary Sanchez led the league in pass balls. However, in 2016 and 17, while Gary Sanchez was actually really good at framing and showed a cannon of an arm, after that, his percentage for throwing runners out and his framing both significantly regressed. Now, I understand, with this being said, Gary Sanchez is actually still an above average offensive catcher. And you know what this says? Good catchers are hard to come by. He still fell off a cliff because he's lazy. He doesn't hustle. Joe Girardi held him accountable. Aaron Boone just let him do what he wants, and then Gary Sanchez ended up not trying his hardest. Now, I understand that game against the Rays when he didn't hustle to the ball and everyone flipped out. He was given the okay to return from injury far too soon, but not even just that. He only sometimes runs hard on the bases. It's really when he actually hits the ball to the outfield, but on a weak ground ball, he'll jog down the line, and that's not something I like at all. So in the end, I'm just not gonna miss the guy whatsoever. He really did nothing to help the team win games the last 2 seasons. He at least did help it all in 2019, but 2018, 2020, and 2021, no. The guy was just a waste of a roster space, and it was just time to move on from him. My only concern, though, is the fact that I don't see Kyle Higashioka as a starting catcher either. I know Fuzzy called Gary Sanchez Mitch Garver 2.0, but I actually don't really agree with that. Since 2018, Mitch Garver does still have better offensive numbers, even if he's also a high strikeout guy that hits home runs. Now for Gio Urshela, he was a diamond in the rough when the Yankees got him in 2019. He was just traded for cash considerations, and in 2019, he went on to hit 21 home runs and 73 RBIs with a 314 average and 355 on base percentage and a 534 slugging percentage, giving him an OPS of 889. And want the sabermetrics? I got you. a 132 WRC plus, and a 369 WOBA. But we can also keep in mind that this is when they juiced the ball, so of course this significantly benefited the hitters, and Gio Urshela was not a good hitter at all before he came to the Yankees. Urshela didn't walk a whole lot, but he was still very good at putting the ball in play. Defensively, he made some web gems at third base, but the metrics didn't really favor him, and from watching him, it seemed as if the web gems really came from when he was going to his right, and when he was going to his left, that's when he wasn't as sharp defensively, so that has to be why the metrics weren't really favoring him. The 2020 COVID season, 298 batting average, 368 on base percentage, 490 slugging percentage, giving him an OPS of 858, 133 WRC plus, and a 365 WOBA. He also cut down on the strikeouts while nearly doubling his walk rate during the shortened 2020 season. Last year though was just not his year at all. He seemed to come back down to earth, and the fact that he was hurt for some time definitely didn't help. Gio Urshela also had to play shortstop at times last season, and that didn't help him as that's not his natural position. I wish Gio Urshela well with the Twins. I kind of didn't really want to see him go because I at least saw that even while he wasn't having a great year last year, or even a good year, he at least still tried, which we can't say about everyone on the team. So I wish Gio Urshela all the best in Minnesota. I'll definitely miss him more than I'll miss Gary Sanchez. But hey, if 2019 and 20 really was his peak, then we could say that this was a good move for the Yankees to move on from him. But, you know, we'll just have to see how it plays out. But we also have to consider the return that the Yankees got. So they got Josh Donaldson, and we know that he's had a beef with Garrett Cole in the past after Josh Donaldson called out Garrett Cole for only being a Cy Young caliber pitcher because he's using the sticky stuff. Garrett Cole did have some games after the whole sticky stuff thing got cracked down on where he absolutely dominated, but he just wasn't the most consistent after the whole crackdown began. Now though, at least Garrett Cole does have a spring training, and he's had this whole off season to actually prepare to pitch this season without any sticky stuff. So hopefully that'll be beneficial to him when he does take the mound this year. And also, these guys are grown men. They're both older than me, and it does sound like they're squashing the beef. And for that, good, because I'd like these guys to not act like little kids when they're on the same team. So before we get to what Josh Donaldson can bring to the team from a production standpoint, if you're enjoying the video, if you could please consider dropping a like for the YouTube algorithm, I'd really appreciate it. If you can also please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell if you haven't yet, I'd really appreciate that too, and you'll never miss another video of mine. Josh Donaldson is not exactly a high average hitter and hasn't been in quite some time, but he still has decent pop. Okay, the Yankees have enough of that already. Donaldson is still a good player, but he's also up there in age, and I just don't think he's exactly what the Yankees need. They have enough guys that'll strike out and hit home runs, although both Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton did cut down on the strikeouts last year. They still struck out over 20% of the time. The fact that Josh Donaldson is 36 is another concern, as well as his contract. This team still has Joey Gallo. The shift isn't banned yet, but even if it is, I definitely don't think that'll stop Joey Gallo from swinging and missing as much as he does. So I don't have a problem with getting Josh Donaldson because of his ability. The guy definitely still has pop in his bat, and his home run total won't tell the whole story. His baseball savant numbers tell us he still has plenty of pop in his bat. It's just that I don't see him as what this team needs. In terms of his contract, he's getting paid $21 million this year and next year, so at least it tells us that Hal Steinbrenner evidently doesn't mind going over the luxury tax anymore. If he did, I don't think this trade would be made. Josh Donaldson also has an opt-out option in 2024, and at his age, yeah, I think the Yankees would be better off buying him out by then. Like I said, he's still a good player, but just he's not who I think the Yankees need. He's also not someone who will really benefit from the short porch because he's a right-handed pull hitter. Now the next piece the Yankees got is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He was just traded from the Rangers and then immediately to the Yankees. I like him as a utility infielder. He's not a very good hitter. His batting average of 280 in 2020 and 271 last year are not too bad, but he also had a 312 on base percentage last year and doesn't have much pop in his bat at all. He's had a negative offensive WAR every year of his career, and his WRC plus has never been at the league average of 100. He did steal 20 bases last year though. Knowing that the Yankees were second to last in defensive runs saved last year and 22nd in defensive WAR, yeah, defense is something that this team certainly does need, which Josh Donaldson has has absolutely lost his step in, but this guy, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, will definitely help with their defense. And Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is also a threat to steal. However, you did have that in Tyler Wade for quite a few years and you let him go to the Angels, so I'm not really ecstatic about this either. Now there's a backup catcher coming in, Ben Rortvedt. Blah. Just blah. So as of now, Kyle Higashioka is the Yankees starting catcher, and while he most certainly is a better defensive catcher than Gary Sanchez, he's not much better of a hitter at all. It is fun to play Getting Jiggy With It by Will Smith when he hits a home run, but just think it's Higgy instead of Jiggy. But no, Higashioka is not a starting catcher. So while yes, it definitely was time to move on from Gary Sanchez, I still don't think that the Yankees really found their replacement for him, so I just hope that the Yankees do have a plan to replace Gary Sanchez. The free agent market for catchers right now is awful. Wilson Contreras is on the market for catchers in terms of trades, and while his offensive numbers really don't jump out at you at all, in fact they're not much more impressive than Gary Sanchez's offensive numbers, at least he's far better defensively than Gary Sanchez ever was. So who actually won this trade? I don't even know, to be honest. I'm pretty sure of it though that the Yankees are not done though, because they do need another catcher, and it does look like they will be going after Freddie Freeman and trading Luke Voit for a catcher. It sounded like Matt Olson was on the radar, but he's off to the Braves now, so we know Freddie Freeman won't be back. And if Freddie Freeman isn't a Yankee, then gotta bring back Anthony Rizzo. So what I also do have a bit of a problem with in this trade is the fact that I feel like this was very analytically driven. Now, I don't mind analytics being used as a tool, but I do mind it revolving around everything you do. The fact that the Yankees have been so analytically driven for years, and trust me, I know they're not the only ones who are so analytically driven these days. I know, but the fact that they have been, has that won them a World Series since 2009, or even gotten them to the World Series since then? No, it has not. But in order to really know who won this trade, I guess time will tell who actually won this trade. Maybe nobody won this trade. It is possible that it really was time to move on from Gio Urshela as well. It was definitely time to move on from Gary Sanchez. There's absolutely no question about that whatsoever. But for Gio Urshela, after the down year that he had last year, this year will be his year to prove that he actually can hit even when the balls are not juiced. And if he can, then yeah, the Yankees took an L here for trading him. And let's also not forget that Gio Urshela's defense regressed last year too because of the injuries. But on the other hand, for the Yankees, getting Josh Donaldson as their big trade piece, like I said, he's still a good player, but just not exactly who I think the Yankees need. The fact that he's old and a little bit expensive, and also he hasn't exactly been healthy the last few years. We know the Yankees have had a multitude of injuries for quite a few years now, so that's where I'm also concerned, but I'll just hope for the best. But also for the Yankees, can we please just end this love affair with Brett Gardner? Yeah, I like his grittiness, but he's also been streaky his whole career, and now he's getting old. Just keep signing him to a bunch of one-year contracts every year, and at this point, I just don't think it's worth it. Brett Gardner, thank you for all you've done, but I just do think it's time to move on at this point. And also, how about trading Aaron Hicks, because what's his use when he can never stay on the field? If we can get 2018 Aaron Hicks back, that would be nice, or even the first couple months of 2017 Aaron Hicks, but for a full season. But I know I'll be disappointed if I expect that. So yeah, we can live without Aaron Hicks for sure. Now I also want to talk about the rules now. So I want to mention this real quick. Yes, of course, I expect the Yankees to make the 12-team playoffs. With the current culture and with Aaron Boone as a front office puppet, I don't expect the Yankees to make a deep playoff run. I expect them to be somewhere in the middle of the pack in the American League, which is a pretty low standard for the historic franchise that the Yankees are. I understand you can't win every year, but this team hasn't won a World Series since 2009, hasn't even been back since then. They were supposed to build off of one game away from the World Series in 2017. I believed it too back then that a dynasty was about to happen, and then to not get any closer to the World Series since then, yeah, more regular season wins, but what matters more? So in that aspect, yeah, it's been a disappointment for a while now. So while no, I've never actually experienced a really bad Yankees team as because I was born in 93. So for that, I guess I can say I'm still kind of lucky, but also at the same time, I hate participation trophies. I want to get to the mountaintop, and it's been too long since we've last seen the Yankees get to the mountaintop. I'm not expecting it this year either. I'm definitely expecting this team to make the playoffs, but I don't see them making a really deep playoff run. Hopefully I'm wrong about that though, but just if you expect disappointment, then you can never really be disappointed. Now I know I have a lot on my plate, so I'll just talk about some things briefly. I'm ecstatic about the universal DH, and I'll leave a video advocating for that in the end screen and also up there. The 12-team playoff though, I mean, I don't love it, but at least it makes it a lot easier for the Yankees to make the playoffs. I guess that's like the happiest I can be about the 12-team playoffs. But the fact that it discourages teams from tanking, I can definitely get behind it for that. No more runner on second rule. I don't feel as strongly about this rule as I do about the universal DH, but I never exactly liked it either. I understand where you're coming from. If you would like to have that back, if you really don't want the game to take forever, although it's not like the game always does go 16 or 17 innings. You know that's rare. Even if it does though, you can record the game if you really can't stay up to watch the whole game because you have work the next day, right? Me personally though, I was just never a fan of the ghost runner on second to begin with. 9-inning doubleheaders, I'm for it. I know even 7-inning doubleheaders aren't easy, but these guys are the best players in the world and should be conditioned well enough to play 2 games in the same day. So now I'll briefly talk about other offseason moves that were made around the league since the lockout ended. Carlos Rodon to the Giants, nice replacement for Kevin Gausman, and Andrew Bailey has proven to be one of the best pitching coaches in the business, which I went over in my deep dive of the 2021 San Francisco Giants, so good move by the Giants. The Mets made a nice move to get depth in their rotation by bringing in Chris Bassett from the Oakland A's. He should be a very solid middle of the rotation guy behind DeGrom and Scherzer, as he's coming off a season with a 3.15 ERA and striking out 25% of the batters he faced while walking just 6%. The Mets also got Adam Ottavino, who has not been so unhittable since the end of 2019. 2020, it was only 2 games that made his ERA absolutely blow up, but this time in a full season, a 4.21 ERA. His K rate is still pretty good though, but he also does struggle with walking guys. Ottavino still wasn't very hard hit last year though, so the guy definitely does still have some good movement on his pitches, just perhaps hitters have figured him out and they're not chasing those balls that he throws out of the zone. Yusei Kikuchi to the Toronto Blue Jays, he was an all-star, but then he had a poor second half, but you have Pete Walker as your pitching coach, and Pete Walker did make Robbie Ray a very unexpected Cy Young winner last year, so you can expect Pete Walker to make a tweak in Yusei Kikuchi's mechanics and have him pitch at an all-star level for a full season. I also do think that Kikuchi is good for depth, and the team already has Kevin Gausman as their ace. Unless Gausman does revert back to what he was in Baltimore, but that would be pretty bold to predict. Nelson Cruz is going to the Washington Nationals, so there you have it, a National League team that'll definitely benefit from having a universal DH. I know Nelson Cruz did not hit very well for the Rays last year, but even if Nelson Cruz happens to be washed up now, I'll still much rather have him at the plate than any pitcher not named Shohei Ohtani, period. Sonny Gray to the Twins, he may have had a career resurgence after leaving the Yankees for 1 year, but he hasn't been so good since then. However, he is pitching in a more pitcher-friendly ballpark in Minnesota, and he does have really good baseball savant numbers, so don't sleep on Sonny Gray, and that's coming from me, a guy who roots for a team that Sonny Gray was a severe disappointment for. That'll be where I wrap up this video today. If you enjoyed the video and you're excited for baseball to be back, yeah, hit that like button if you haven't yet, if you want this video to perform well. If you could please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. Love to have you as a part of the team. Links to my social media are in the description. If you want to check out my content on other sports too, here are 2 videos up above that I'm sure you'll enjoy, but it is baseball videos that have carried the weight of my channel, and that's a huge reason for me to be really happy that baseball's back. So if you want to just check out my baseball stuff, that's fine too. I have playlists for each sport on my channel. Also, please get down in the comment section and let me know what you think of everything going on since the lockout ended. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Peace.